This episode is brought to you by the fabulous members of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com.
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes he tells sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Marc's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled.
Y'all ready for this?
Very, very
Hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. This is the rhythm of the night.
Oh, dude.
Do you believe in love?
Wow.
My tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why. It's not so bad, it's not so bad. Come on and try, now's the time for your...
Fuck this podcast, man. Let's go out.
Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast horror movie review and a very nostalgic start for a very nostalgic episode. My name is Scott.
My name is Marc.
We're your hosts each and every Monday. It doesn't always start that exciting, but this week's a special episode for me. We review movies that are chosen in our Instagram polls, and today we are continuing Kate Rules Month. This is the month where our Patreon member Kate looked at what we'd done throughout July and August and went, yeah, just fuck off and let me take control because you dicks don't know what you're doing. And so far, it's been banger after banger.
Yes.
We start every episode with a brief synopsis, followed by a spoiler-heavy dive into what we liked, what we didn't like. This is a revisited episode as well. So this is one of the movies that I covered, almost 5 years ago. And I actually done this with Heather. This was Heather's first ever guest appearance on the show before she became co-host of True Crime. And I recorded the first part of this from deep within the woods at night.
I remember when you did that.
This episode is going to be more about Marc's opinions than mine because you can go and listen to that episode. And this is the first time me and Marc are discussing it. Later in the episode, we're going to be playing the game that none of you guys can beat, but we have had at least one entry now. We have had someone who's attempted it. So we're making forward steps with that. We'll also get your thoughts in Caption This, and we'll do some facts and some voicemails and lots of other cool stuff as well. Today, we bring you a journey into one of the most influential horror films in history, bringing an entire subgenre of horror to the forefront and offering performances that will laugh a lifetime. Laugh a lifetime? Last a lifetime.
Earlier, you said you're on a roll tonight.
Yeah. A ragtag group of filmmakers set out with a rough outline and ended up with 20 hours of footage that they masterfully edited down into 78 minutes of sheer terror for audiences. This film holds an incredibly special place in my heart. It is in my top 10 films of all time and is the overriding inspiration for me creating my own found footage horror movie. Today we look at the Blair Witch Project from 1999.
It's like, no fucking way. Just start whacking off in the woods.
I love this film unconditionally. That's where I am. But I am very aware that I love it unconditionally from a heavy place of nostalgia and a heavy place of I lived through the release of this movie. I saw this in theaters. I saw the documentary they stuck out on TV about a month before. I saw this was early stages internet. I saw the news articles that came out about a year before about these kids that went missing, and the website that was dedicated to tracking them down that had police reports. Like, I lived this as an experience, and as an experience, this is arguably the greatest film ever made. You didn't live this as an experience.
Nope.
So for you, how does this land for you watching it without all of that attached to it?
I mean, the thing is, it's hard to sort of bash upon it because I'm aware of the experience. I'm very bitter that I wasn't a part of it, you know. It was a phenomenon. But for me, I only watched this a year ago. I remember about a year ago, maybe 18 months ago on the podcast, we had a conversation about the Blair Witch Project. And I said, to be honest with you, I've never really seen it. I'm aware of it. I've seen clips of it. That's probably enough to get me through to say I've watched it. We said, right, take a time, go watch it. Let us know what your thoughts are. I did watch it. And for me, it's very difficult to consider this a great found footage movie, given how great found footage movies are nowadays, you know, with Paranormal Activity and Wreck and things like that. In comparison, those types of movies are on a completely different level to what the Blair Witch Project is. I was very underwhelmed with my first watch of this film. I remember walking away feeling very bored throughout the majority of it and very snooze heavy. This movie gets nothing but respect from me because it's something that I would consider birthed the found footage genre. I know there's probably a few that came before it, but this is the one that broke the market in terms of this style of filmmaking. However, I watched it again yesterday in preparation for the podcast, and I enjoyed it a lot more. And the reason why I enjoyed it a lot more this time around is because I went in overhyped the first time. I went in expecting something because I know how loved this movie is, and I know how important culturally this movie is. So for me, I kind of had expectations of something that I thought it was going to be. And then it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was very disappointed and kind of like, guys, I don't get it.
Yeah.
This time around, I knew what I was going in for, and I kind of had a different perspective of what I was watching. I tried to put myself in that era of its release, that whole whirlwind of, is it real? Is it not real? And I've got to be honest with you, I really, really liked it this time around. I'm not going to go out on a limb and tell you that it's a great movie, but for what it is, I was invested. I was heavily invested in the characters. I really appreciated a lot of the build up before they even reached the woods. I think that was one of the more intriguing elements for me, is the interviewing of a lot of the townsfolk and the village people in terms of what their thoughts and theories are regarding the Blair Witch. That was some of the most strongest stuff for me of the movie. And then again, when it went into the woods, knowing that I wasn't going to get your sort of grandeur that you've got in more recent found footage movies, and I subverted expectations from that side of things, I was really in appreciation of what they managed to do with this movie when they made this movie. Especially considering not knowing what this was going to be and how well this was going to be received, or what audience would even think to something like this at the time. So yeah, it was a different experience this time around. I'm sure we'll get more into it as we go, but as an initial opening to my thoughts on it this time, that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, and I think the story of this is very good. It lends itself probably better than most to the found footage style. 3 students go off into the woods to make a documentary about the Blair Witch. It's really, really basic. And there's some characters I love in the beginning. I love when they start interviewing the townsfolk. I love the woman and her kid.
Yeah.
And the woman's like, she's telling the story of the Blair Witch, going, oh yeah, and then she'd take you into the hills, and the little kid's like putting her hand over her mouth going, no, mummy, no.
Was that scripted? Was that scene scripted?
No.
That's amazing. Like, because there was things like that throughout. I was like, if that's not scripted, why? Especially considering you had the interview beforehand with the older guy who was explaining how he killed the 7 kids.
Yeah, scripted.
Right. And then
that one is.
It went into that bit where the kid was covering her mouth when she was mentioning the Blair Witch. I was like, that's creepy as fuck, man. Especially if that's not scripted either, because, I mean, I guess the kid's impatient and her mum's just talking shit and he wants to,
Yeah.
or she wants to go wherever they want to go. But in the context of the movie, it was really well edited together to make it seem like because she was mentioning the child killing Blair Witch, the kid was freaking out. And I was like, that's cool, man.
Yeah, and they put a lot of effort into these early interactions, like the crazy lady who lives in the shack. Like the
Yeah.
bit they show you where they film it on the DAT and they film it in the black and white, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember the Blair Witch, blah 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 blah." And then when they walk away, they're like, "Yeah, well, she said this about the witch." They're like, "Yeah, but she also says she's a filmmaker, she's a novelist, she's the local historian, she's like been to space. Like this woman's done fucking everything." I like the fact that they establish her in
As
the
a local
documentary.
crazy.
Yeah, but at first she's credible, and then as you walk away going, "Fuck, that's quite creepy," they completely kill all of our credibility, and then you're like, "They're not going to find fuck all in the woods," and I like that.
I really like the creepy woman's description of the Blair Witch, saying how she was covered from head to toe in like a horse-like hair.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh, fair. Like, no. And it was like, no, because you know what horse hair's like. It's unique to any other animal in that perspective. It's like a seal as well, I suppose. So it's not necessarily as unique as I'm thinking.
or
But,
a cow, or a short-haired dog.
no, not a short. Yeah, actually, if you're talking about staffies and all right, it's not as unique as I initially opened that statement with, but still, it was a creepy concept for me because as she was describing it, she was doing it very slowly. So the visuals were appearing in my mind as she was describing it. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool, man. She's like, all down one arm, and then I lifted up the dress and it was all across her chest. And I was like, oh, yeah, man. And it was like building in my brain as the interview was going on. I was like, I know full well the first time I watched this movie, I didn't give half as much of attention as I should have done to this beginning segment. And one thing that I found especially interesting was the conversation with sort of like the elder town gentleman who was describing the story of the fella, which again, he wasn't the Blair Witch took these kids. A guy took these kids. He killed 7 children and he came down and said, my work is complete. That in itself completely changed my perception of this movie on this watch because I excluded the whole concept of the Blair Witch when I was watching it because you know me, I'm not a big supernatural guy. I'm not a big believer. So I viewed it this time around as sort of like a Michael Myers mental escapee kind of thing. And the guy who killed those kids had escaped, and he was the one that was setting them up throughout the woods, and he was the one that killed them in the building at the end. And I fucking loved it from that idea. I know it doesn't quite work as well as I would have liked it to in certain aspects, but if you look at it from that perspective when you're watching it, and it's not necessarily supernatural, but some guy is out there just fucking with them, it's so cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, they play it like that for a lot of the movie. So when they first get into the woods, they have their first night, and everything's kind of happy camping. And I like the fact that they do the bit in the hotel where everything's great, and then they go out and then they go hiking and they find Coffin Rock, and like their first day is a peach. Everything goes exactly how it should. And it's the second night when they camp that shit starts getting a bit weird. And it's that, like, the two actors and actress in this, I think, are really good and they're really authentic. And in fact, I'll tell you why they're so good and authentic. But they deliver a performance that I genuinely believe, that they feel scared, and I genuinely believe that they're freaked out by the piles of rocks and they're freaked out by all these things. And I like the characters as well. Like, I grew up in this time period. I had friends that, like, my friends were like this. I had a friend group very like this. And I don't know. There's something about these characters that just
very relatable.
Really relatable. I think out of all of them, the one I relate to most is Josh.
I'm more of a Mike guy. It broke my heart to see Mike losing his mind. That was one of the things in this movie that I felt really uncomfortable with a lot of the time is when the deliriousness starts to set in and they've been in there for like 3 or 4 days and you see Mike starting to crack.
Yeah.
And the authenticity of the performances from the 3 core cast, I think Josh is gone by this point anyway, and it's just Mike and Heather left. I was like, fuck, man. Like, there is nothing more scary to me than the thought of being in an unstable, like I've done drugs. We've spoke about drugs in this podcast plenty of times before.
Yeah.
I don't like taking drugs that I don't take drugs anymore, by the way. I've lived a life when I was younger. I'm a clean and sober father now, and but one thing that was never really my jam was like hallucinogenics and things like that. Things that I felt out of control doing. And one thing that I really like felt unstable with when watching this movie was when they'd been in there for such a long period of time, and it's, you could feel the mentality of each and individual one of them starting to break down. And when Mike like kicked the fucking map in the river and he's just laughing about it, and he's like, I'm like, you're not okay, dude. Like, you're not yourself at this point. Like, you are not okay. And it was weird, man. I don't like stuff like that. That's one thing I don't like in horror.
The thing where he kicks the map in the river, there would have been a murder in that forest.
How big is this forest that you have to walk for 3 days and still don't find an exit?
It's not that big. So they actually mention it in the movie. Like, if we walk in any one direction for a day, we're going to hit civilization. Like, we're not that fucking isolated. We're in the middle of nowhere, but like surrounding us is towns and roads and villages. And like, if we go one way, we'll get out. And that's what makes the bit where they're like, we're just going to walk south. And they walk south for an entire day and then end up back at the river. They're like, how the fuck are we back at the river? Like, that's the sort of
log crossing.
Yeah, like that's the sort of shit that would drive me nuts. Like when I done our film, me and Kane went into the woods and we went deep. Probably the deepest we went was probably a 2-hour hike, and the woods where we are is massive. Like, you could walk for 3 days in one direction and not get out, but we went in fairly deep. But I relied on satellite navigation from my phone and sort of like landmarks of, right, oh, this is here, we went left. But it's so easy to get lost, especially if you're not on a path. Like, they're not, they're just trudging through the woods. Like, when you've walked through 4 or 5 miles of woods, like, it all looks the fucking same. And without any guidance, it's so easy to get lost, and it's really scary.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got a compass, you know what I mean? And that's the thing they never really mention in this movie is interference with the compass or anything like that. You know, it's just you're following south, you're going in one direction. You can't go wrong, really. Obviously, interference from the supernatural. But I really do like that scene where they do get back to the log, and Heather is so convinced it's not the same log. She's not even convinced. She knows it's the same log, but she's trying to convince herself. And slowly, as she goes on and gets closer and closer, the realization sinks into her that it is the same log. That breakdown of her, again, her breakdown of her sanity in that moment is just fucking incredible, man. And again, I'm just so mad at myself for not giving stuff like this the appreciation that I should have given it the first time I watched this movie. I was very dismissive of this film because I was expecting something more from it. But the problem is, it didn't need it. And I don't know why it's taken me as long as it has done to realize that it didn't need it, because if you analyze it on a certain level where you just build these things in your mind and you put yourself in that situation as opposed to expecting just to buy the numbers horror movie when you're watching it, you are going to be disappointed. And yeah, I'm mad at myself on this rewatch, thinking, because I come on here and I shit about it after that time I watched it, and we had a whole thing where it's like, yeah, just watch it, man. It's the greatest film of all time. Like, dude, all right, I'll check it out. And then I came back like a week later, and I didn't necessarily shit on it. Do you know what I mean? But I weren't favorable to the movie, and yeah, I just feel a bit embarrassed for myself for not looking at the levels that this movie presents.
The thing is, they do some things in here that are really simple, but they're really effective. There's one in particular that I think is fucking brilliant, and it's they're all lying in the tent, and you hear the cracking and the bangs all around the woods, and you can hear it coming from everywhere. And then the tent shakes, and they all just fucking out of the tent and just scatter.
It was the children, though. It was the noises of the children in that scene again, I didn't even pick up on that the first watch, but this time around I was like, oh shit, that's kids running around in the woods that you can hear.
Yeah, Yeah, and it's they scatter, and it's Heather when she's like looking off camera, and she's going, "What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?" And as a viewer, I'm going, "Turn the fucking camera, turn the camera. I want to see what it is." And they do such a good job of just not showing it.
Yeah.
It's there, everyone can see it, but you don't need to see it. Just trust us, it's scary.
Is there any? I know there's sequels and stuff to this movie which I haven't checked out. Is there ever a point in this movie where, like, if you freeze frame a shot, you can see something?
No.
In
So
the
the
sequels, do
so
you
it
see anything?
the original intention for this was to have a witch, and they had a witch, and when they got to editing, they took the witch out because they went, "Well, actually, if you take that away, that's even fucking worse because you never see it." The the sequel, which is the Blair Witch Book of Shadows, is not found footage,
No.
and it doesn't land as well, and you see a lot more in that, and I'm not a big fan of that. The 2016 Blair Witch I really like. So that is it fathers Heather's brother as he takes a group of people into the woods to go find her, convinced she's still alive. Um, I like that because they include a lot more technology. Like they've got a drone and they've got satellite navigation and sat phones, and they're like, he's like, my sister got, whether we find her or not, she got fucking lost out here, but I believe she found something and she could still be here, so I want to go look. But I'm not a fucking idiot. We're going into the woods, so I'm taking a sat phone. We've got all these batteries. I've got 3 fucking drones. Like, we're golden.
So it's
That-
Jurassic Park 3 with the Blair Witch Project.
It's exactly that. And I really like that because when shit goes wrong for them, they're like, well, we'll just send the drone up and just have a look. And like the drone goes up and like the fog descends. It's like, you're fucked. It's
All right,
it's
that sounds really cool. So if I exclude the Book of Shadows and go straight in with Blair Witch, I would have a better time.
stupidly Book of Shadows I think you would enjoy because it's very much an early 2000s movie. It's like, let's throw a bit of grunge in here, let's have a little
Rock
bit of heavy
characters and
rock.
shit.
Yeah, let's have like your stereotypical goth, your bimbo,
Yeah.
your big muscular guy. Let's throw them into the Blair Witch and just see what happens. It's that movie. I think you'd probably walk away from that going, that's a stupidly shit slasher movie and I like it.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I'm curious about that one now. I'm especially curious about Blair Witch though. That sounds really cool. And then that's all found footage as well.
Yeah, that's all found footage. And if you watch them as a double bill, I think they're actually very, very good together. Blair Witch got slammed, and I've never understood why. Like, I don't get why it got any hate at all because I think it's a really good sequel to this. It's really
I was
well
gonna say,
done.
but if it's in keeping to this movie, releasing this now to modern audiences, it would fucking bomb, man.
Yeah,
And I think if they
massively.
tried to stay true by bringing out Blair Witch and staying true to this movie, it would bomb.
And it did, and it didn't only bomb, but it was hated by fans of this, which I just don't get.
Right,
I don't
okay.
get it.
Yeah, I don't get that then. I mean, I can't speak for the movie because I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, I never understood the hate for that movie. So if anyone does hate that movie, call in and explain why, because you're wrong. The piles of rocks outside your tent, would you freak out? Because I don't think I would.
I would, only based on the fact that they weren't clearly there when they went into the tent and then they've woke up and there's now rocks. Whether I believe in superstition or not, I would be under the illusion that some physical person had put them there,
hillbilly.
which is what they believe as well. Like someone's out there fucking with them.
What would be your plan to get out of the woods?
I would go exactly the same way that these guys do without the map, is just go south or go east or go north or go west. I would stay on the same direction and then hopefully get to the edge of the woods.
See, I think I'd try and retread my steps back because I got in one way. Even if that way's longer, I would go back across the river, back to Coffin Rock and try and go back.
But they do a good job of excluding that in this movie, though, because they come in one way, but Heather takes them with the map a different way to get back out. So already they're muddled. To go back on the way they came in, they would have to go back on a day to get back to where they were, where they first set up camp, to then go back another day to get out. So they've already, and obviously these guys, they do a good thing of incorporating that they've all got jobs. This is a weekend expedition and they have to be back at work on Monday. They don't have an extra day to go retrace their steps to then go and follow the way in that they came, which is a good way of explaining it, I suppose. But yeah, no, I think I'd just compass one direction, hit civilization, get a lift back to the car. I'm out of here.
Yeah, there's one character in this who rubs me the wrong way, and it's Heather.
Am I pissing you off, Fafa?
Yes, you are pissing me off, Fafa. Her insistence on using the camera when they are clearly in the shit would push me to the point of borderline, I'm ready to murder you. I'd be leaving her behind.
Which, again, on the first watch, I had the exact same opinion. But on this watch, I paid attention to the conversation with Josh where he's like, why the fuck do you have this camera? Why are you always filming? And he picks it up and he's looking, he's like, oh, I get it. This is not real. It's like a glossed version of reality. And then Heather breaks down and she's like, yeah, it's, I can't remember the word she exactly uses, but she's like, oh yeah, if I'm using this, it just makes this whole situation feel less real. I was like, perfect excuse for me. I buy it. I'm in.
Yeah, I get it, but don't stand in one place and fucking film. Like, walk with the camera. If that's what makes you feel better, walk with it. We're going in this direction. Walk and film shit. Don't stop and go, oh, look at all the twigs. Like, at no point in any movie has anyone gone, we're going to make a stick figure, hang it in some trees. It's going to scare an entire generation. And someone went, yeah, I believe you. But in this, they do. Like, that simple, like, triangle with the bit across and a little bit tuft on top. It's arguably now one of the most recognizable symbols in horror.
But it's so hard not to see it in a white pair of boxer shorts with love hearts on it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the whole time I was watching this movie, I was just thinking about the box cover for Scary Movie where they have that logo, but it's got a pair of white boxer shorts with love hearts printed all over it.
Yeah, the thing is that it's really simple. Like I've got one up here which I can't get, which I've made. Like, they're really easy to make. If anyone wants Halloween decorations, go and get a bundle of sticks, go and get a little bit of twine and a hot glue gun, and you can make hundreds of the Blair Witch things in about 10 minutes.
You made a video on YouTube. That was the first ever video you made.
It was.
It's still there?
It's not. I may do another one this year of how to make one.
Because that was fun. I like that.
Yeah, how to make the Blair Witch stick figure. But they're really impactful. And again, in reality, it's a fucking stick hanging in a tree. But the way they put it across to you, it's like, there's fucking loads of these here. And like the bit where Josh is like, right, that's it. If you fucking got enough, you've got enough. And he's holding the camera. And then he turns around, he's like, oh, fuck, I didn't even see all of these ones here. There's fucking hundreds of these fucking things. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd be out. Like, this is where I'd be like, I need to get out of these woods now.
What is the meaning of these weird stick figures? I know they don't explain it in this movie, but do they dive into it in any of the others?
Nope.
No, it's just a thing.
The only thing that I know a little bit of lore to, so you know when they get in the house and there's lots of different runes on the walls, lots of different markings.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the runes they drew are actual runes, but they reversed them all. And reversed runes basically shows that there's something evil or demonic. And they come under a lot of flack from local covens and other people going, look, I get what you're doing, but you've actually drawn real fucking runes on a building and reversed them. Like, you're pretty much going, come and fuck with us. Which is like,
Yeah, but if you're in a coven in 2025, then you need to be in a hospital, not a coven.
I think we have a portion of our audience who are in covens. So, hello, witches. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day.
If you are in a coven and you are a witch and you have got this far into it now and you're doing Harry Potter spells and fucking making potions and you're 5 years deep and nothing has happened, please explain to me why you are continuing down this path.
And if you are doing it and it is working, there will be Marc dolls available on the You Run Podcast shop very shortly for your pleasure.
Seriously, right? Seriously, I don't want to be that guy. There's a lot of people who claim to be witches, but you have to be a delusional person to be in a position where you're chanting spells and making voodoo dolls, very similar to sort of like this whole craft era that women found themselves in the 90s. It clearly doesn't work, but they still pursue it and live the lifestyle. And I'm just curious to know as to why you do such things.
It's no different to the billions of people around the globe who follow a deity and practice religion. It's exactly
Let's
the
not
same.
even get me started on religion. You know my stance on that. I've dived into this numerous times on the show,
Well,
but it's a similar thing.
It's exactly the same. Wiccan is a religion, and we live near one of the largest witches villages in the country. There are many covens of witches near us. When we go into the woods and we've recorded, we have come across covens of witches performing rituals and said hello, and they wouldn't let us film because I wanted to incorporate them, but they were like, no, which was really disappointing. Yeah, I'll tell you off air. Like, there's loads of covens near us. There's an entire witch village, which is really cool. And we go there at Halloween, and they've got like witch shops, and they do a procession, and there's a witch of the woods, and yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, so it's a marketing campaign then.
100% it's a marketing campaign, but there are actual covens of witches who go into the woods and do rituals. I want to talk a little bit more about.
I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map. I'm the map.
Call in if you know what that's from. The map is a bone of contention for me.
Right. In terms of
the fact that they only had one. I have a real issue with only one map going into this sort of situation.
The thing is, as well, for me with this is like, you're in a forest. How useful is a map?
You clearly didn't go orienteering as a kid.
No, I was cool.
Did you not do like the Duke of Edinburgh award where you got to go hiking in the forest and got an award at the end of it?
No, all of those things you just said makes me want to punch you in the face.
I did.
No idea what you're talking about.
I didn't do it, but I am capable of going hiking. I'm capable of using a map when I have no landmarks to work out where I am using a compass. Like I understand how that works.
I can use a compass and I can use my legs to walk. I just don't get like how relevant a map would be in a forested area with no real sort of. Like, I know how maps work. I use maps. I can work maps. But my point is like, you're in a forest surrounded by acres and acres of trees. What is your reference point on a map?
Where you come into that forest of trees from civilization.
But how do you know the circle you're walking? You're not following roads. You're just tree after tree after tree. And you only need to make the slightest of deviation left or right. And you are completely well aware from where you are.
Yeah, but if you've marked like reasonably where you are on the map as you come in and you've gone, all right, that's the river there, and you've gone, well, that's where I was there, and you've worked to where you are at a certain point, it should be fairly easy for you to navigate back to where you need to go.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying.
Like these people are not qualified to be using a map. They're not qualified to be using a compass. Like that first night, they get absolutely smashed off their face and then go out to wander in the woods with a massive hangover. Like, that's not the best start. I love the fact that they run out of cigarettes after. So Josh gets taken from his tent or disappears in the night, and they've run out of cigarettes. And I love that that is Mike and Heather's biggest thing. Like, at the moment, they're not overly worried that they're lost in the woods. They're not overly worried that they're running out of food. It's like, oh, we have no cigarettes. And when Mike finds a cigarette in the bottom, he's like, I found some in the bottom of my bag, like crushed at the bottom. Like, they have this moment where he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm smoking. I'm alive.
Yeah, I think the overall concern for Josh's disappearance felt a bit flat for me. That was one thing that I did think. I know they're in a state of panic, and I know you are considering going off in erratic directions in order to try and locate him, when he could have very well just woke up in the night and thought, fuck you guys,
I'm going home.
I'm going home.
He'd done an Eric Cartman. Screw you guys, yeah, I'm going home.
Exactly that. So like, they're in their mindset thinking, well, are we going to make this situation worse for ourselves by going and finding him? I get all of that. But with everything else going on around them, it is clear he hasn't just wandered off, and their lack of concern in that moment just felt a bit, you should be a bit more worried about this.
Especially when they get the bundle of sticks wrapped in his clothing, open it up, and there's like part of him wrapped in his own t-shirt.
And again, like that, they wake up in the morning and the bundle of sticks with his shirt wound around it. Heather just like picks it up. Like, I'm just going to move this over here. I know she goes back to it later on, but like,
yeah,
surely she'd be like, Mike, fucking sticks with Josh's shirt on. I think we should be a bit worried about this.
Yeah, there are bits in this that don't make a lot of sense, and the one that makes the least sense to me is when you hear Josh's voice calling in the middle of the night, and they end up at the house. There is not like if it was you in there screaming, I would stand outside and guide you. Follow my voice. Come out to me, because there's no way I'm going in the weird crack den in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night. At bare minimum, I'm waiting to. A bare minimum, I'm waiting till daylight to come in and find you.
Nah, I'm straight in. One thing I want to say, I don't want to jump the gun to get to the end. In the corner, is it Josh or is it Mike?
It's Mike in the corner.
Mike gets boshed to the floor.
Yeah.
What? And he's just creepily in the corner, like.
Well, they explained that the witch would get one child to stand in the corner while she killed the other. Then she.
The witch. That was my point. That was what really enhanced my theory. It wasn't the witch that did that. It was a guy. It was a guy who lured the kids up to the house that did that. He was the one who made the kid stand in the corner while he killed the other child, and then he'd bring the other one out of the corner and kill the next child, not the witch. Which was like what amplified my theory of being like, this is some escaped mental patient dude just doing all this.
Whether it's the Blair Witch Michael Myers or whether it's actually the Blair Witch, Mike was stood in the corner because he was made to, and then you see Heather hit the ground, and then as she hits the ground, her camera goes down, and then you see Mike go. And then it just.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Black. Yeah,
Mike
so
goes down.
As Heather goes down, you see Heather go down, and then you hear Mike scream, and you can kind of, on the edge of the camera, see him go ever so slightly as something takes him down. Which, it's cool. It all tracks back to like the original story that they're told. But it's one of those movies that is so open to interpretation. There's so many different ways you could take this. Maybe Josh killed them. Maybe Josh lost his mind and killed them all. In reality, Josh was at a music concert, but again, we'll save that for facts.
Okay, that's why he disappeared, is it?
Genuinely, it is.
Yeah,
he got an early departure from the 8 days of filming. It took him 8 days to film this, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean that's long enough to be trenching around the woods.
Yeah, after 24 hours, I'd have been done. Like when we done our movie, we probably shot for 15 days. Out of that, I'd probably say 3 days of those were in the woods, and they were spread like 10 days apart each trip in.
Yeah.
Especially the nighttime shit, because I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how big and strong you are, how many torches you've got, or how many people you've got with you. The middle of the woods in the middle of the night is a fucking scary place to be. Not because I believe in paranormal entities, but because there are wild boar, there are horses, there are cows, badgers, there are people who go into the woods at night. Like all of these things I don't want to encounter, and that's what makes the woods scary. Is there anything else you want to dive into before we do your recommended account?
No, not particularly. I think we pretty much. The thing is, this film doesn't have a lot of substance in terms of trying to break it down scene for scene. I know we've bounced around quite a lot when discussing this movie, but there isn't a real lot you can really pull apart and talk about scene for scene, really. I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to really cover in terms of a run through.
Yeah, people walk through woods, people find witch, people die, the end. That is pretty much the story. And like interwoven into that is people argue the toss over being lost in the woods, argue the toss over map, then continue walking. Their arguments are very authentic. I find a lot of their shouting at each other quite genuine.
I think the performances across the board are pretty authentic, really. There was a lot to each individual sort of kind of as they go through the stages that I really related to in terms of the emotional performances each one was giving us. I think, like I said already, Mike was the biggest one for me. He was the one who started off as the Steve Harrington at the beginning, where he's such a dick in season 1, but then by the time you get to the end, you're utterly gutted that Mike's died. He had the proper journey for me. Heather, I think she gets a bad rap. I know people always criticize her character and be like, oh, she's a bitch, but I don't think she was purposefully doing anything wrong. She wasn't being selfish. She wasn't. I know she was making the documentary, but they were with her making the documentary as well. It was a team effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When things go awry, it was almost like they were just putting the blame on her. And I felt that was a bit undeserved. And Josh was just Josh. He was like the most laid back out of the group. And it was a bit, I didn't like him going missing either, but makes it more interesting now we know there's an off-screen story to it.
There's a big off-screen story to it. So, yeah, well, I guess it's time for your recommended account. I'm not going to give you a sound drop today because I don't think you've earned one.
No, that's fine. I'm already prepared. So this week's recommended account comes courtesy of Adam. Big fan of the show. We know Adam. We've met Adam numerous times.
Yeah, super cool guy.
He sent me this account. I'm not sure whether he just sent me it because he thought it was a cool account or whether he was thinking about it and thought, oh, yeah, Mark, you like this is recommended account of the week. Anyway, I'm nicking it, and this is what I'm doing this week. This account is called Big Hush 979 over on Instagram. He is an artist from Texas, and he basically just does Jason Voorhees masks. So the hockey mask from the Friday the 13th franchise, he does something unique in terms of what I've seen with other accounts on Instagram that do this similar sort of thing with restorations and masks. He doesn't just make them into Jason Voorhees masks. He takes them.
Is this the guy who turns it into like the mask from the mask?
The mask from the mask, and then he'll do a ghost face one.
I watched his videos about 2 minutes before we started. It's fucking awesome.
Cool.
I followed him earlier.
Yeah, he's an amazing account. There is some really, really cool ones on there. The Killer Clowns from Outer Space one was a really big one for me, and my favorite was the Ghostface one that he did using the Jason Voorhees mask. It's cool, but the mask one, you're right, the mask one is very incredible. Very, very good. He's a really, really talented guy, and some of his work's incredible. I think you can buy these masks that he makes. I think they're like commissionable. I don't know too much. I haven't really spoken to him in terms of direct messages and stuff like that. But he has a YouTube channel with DIY tutorials and things like that on how you could replicate the things that he's got, even if he doesn't sell them himself. But yeah, go and check him out. That's Big Hush 979 over on Instagram. And once again, cheers, Adam, for sending me that one. I wish more of you would make my life easier for me on Instagram. But go and check that account out. And as always, give them a like, give them a follow, and let them know that You Run Podcast sent you there.
We all love an anniversary. We all love a big celebration of a big event, which is why you should go and listen to Release Date Rewind, because that's exactly what they do. They find movies that are celebrating 20th, 30th, 40th, 50th anniversaries, and then talk about those movies and go back into the history and how they've become beloved, iconic movies. And they do every single genre of film as well. So go and check out Release Date Rewind. Also, if you are a nostalgia whore like me and you like anything from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, even some stuff that is really, really prevalent in pop culture today, then you need Pop Culture Reflections podcast. This is a show that dives into everything pop culture, be it films, TV, professional wrestling, music, you name it, they cover it. So that's Pop Culture Reflections podcast. And you can check out both of these shows, so that's Release Date Rewind and Pop Culture Reflections podcast on the You Run Podcast Network at yourunpodcast.com. So go and do that now, and back to the show.
Cheers, Scott.
You're welcome. Go and follow Mark's recommended account. This is one that I've actually genuinely seen before we just literally seconds before we started. And I was like, that mask is really cool. And I followed him, and instantly in my head I was like, I want to buy that. So yeah, I'll let you know next week whether you can, because I'll be in touch with him this week. Also, go and check out yourunpodcast.com, where you can find links to all of our shows, our merch shop, and all of the members of the You Run Podcast Network, not just Release Date Rewind and Pop Culture Reflections. There are what have we got now? 21 shows in the You Run Podcast Network, covering everything from true crime, paranormal, TV shows, movies, music, wrestling, like you name it, it's there. Go and have a look. You can also get links to all of our social media. You'll find us on Instagram and every other social media as well. You won't find Marc on every social media. He is only on Instagram. You can follow him at VHS from the Crypt, where he showcases. The best way I can describe your account is like you showcase pure nostalgia with a flair. It's like you go,
oh, nice.
It's like, look at all this shit that we had in the 80s under red light, under blue light, under flashing green light. It's really cool. Also, reviews from the Crypt, which he's had a break from for a while, but I'm pretty sure as spooky season approaches, that page will all of a sudden, it's become a seasonal page.
Well, no, it hasn't become a seasonal page. It's become my wife keeps getting pregnant page.
There's a simple answer to that. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Well, we've stopped having babies now, so I should be back. It's just hard, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, she takes time off work, so like I don't have the free time I used to. My wife works nights, so when she used to go out to work on a night, the kids were in bed, I'd chill out, watch a horror film, and I'd get reviews and stuff done. But now, every inch of spare time I get is dedicated to sort of doing the podcast. So if I've got a film to watch for the show, I'll watch that. Probably 4 out of 10 times I've already reviewed the movie that we're doing for the podcast. And not only that, I don't find the urge to sit down and write about something that I've just spent 2 hours talking about on a show. It's like, if you want to hear my thoughts on a movie that I watched that week, it's usually because it's on the show, so I don't need to then go down and put it in written format for you.
There was a time a long time ago where you'd drop your review as I dropped the episode. Do you remember?
I used to try and time it in, so like if we had something coming up on the show that I hadn't seen, I would try and get it written, and then the episode would come out and I'd release it on the same day. But again, like, what's the point, man? Just go listen to the audio back.
Exactly that. If you want to support us, you can. Patreon.com/You Run Podcast. You'll find multiple different tiers, give you multiple different control, all the way up to the control that Kate has had, where she's created Kate Rules Month and taken complete control of every element of the show. So go and do that. Like, there's so many stuff on there as well. Like, you get an extra show, which is You Run Extra, where we've talked about the Dexter TV series. We've talked about Lord of the Rings. In September, in a couple of days when this comes out, we're going to be talking about our favorite action movies from the late 80s, early 90s. So that's worth checking out as well. Also, early releases to this show, True Crime, when it does finally come back, which is also coming, and every YouTube episode we drop, which is 5 a week. If you don't want to join Patreon, even at a free level where you still get stuff, you can tell a friend about the show. You can review us on Apple or Spotify. You can comment on YouTube or Spotify. Like, do anything you can to support us. If you listen, do just one thing to help push us along and help us find a bigger audience. Like that's kind of all we ask for the free show we give you every single week, that we dedicate hours and hours and hours of our time. Like, the amount of time that Marc takes to find recommended account each week has been proven this week. He had to get a message from a listener and read it and then look at the account. Like, he deserves reward for that.
Well, I mean, not necessarily me. I probably dedicate maybe 2 hours tops a week, but you, man, I don't know how you do it with the amount of numbers we have on the fucking the what do you call it?
The network.
The network. Like, how you manage all of that and advertise all of that like you do on our social media page is just mind-boggling to me. It wouldn't exist if I was in charge, put it that
way. It genuinely wouldn't. And I don't know. I may sit down and work it out how much I spend. I might do that this week. I'll keep a log of how many hours I spend working on the show and on social media and share.
I'm curious. You start from Monday morning, and every time you do it, you have like them chess timers.
Yeah.
Even if you just go on and like do a little bit on Instagram, just tap it and tap it off. I'm gonna Amazon and get it delivered to your house and get you an Amazon Prime one sent out for Monday morning.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to know.
I don't think you'd want to know either.
I don't think.
Especially just over 7 days as well. I think it would boggle your mind. And then if you times that by 4 and then times it by 58, it would.
Yeah, it is probably more time than I spend in my actual paid job. In fact, I know it's already more
Yeah,
than
I
spend.
know it for a fact it is as well.
Yeah. Let's do some facts.
That could save your life.
So this is basically Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, and Joshua Leonard were signed on to this film. They were given a page of notes and fucking thrown out into the woods. That's the gist of it. And every day, like the producers would keep in contact through walkie-talkies, and they would leave them drop boxes each day with notes, and each of the notes would be individual. So Josh would get a thing that he'd open up, which would give him a list of shit that he had to do that day, and they'd all have that, and they weren't allowed to communicate to each other what they would do. So, for example, when Mike loses the map, Mike's guidance was to make the map disappear, and they put tear it up. So Mike thought about that, and what he'd done is he got rid of the map, and then he didn't say anything. And he didn't say anything until later in the day, and he didn't bring it up until Heather, on her notes, had to ask Mike for the map. He didn't know she had to do that, but she's like, Mike, where's the map? And all of that is just, everything in this film is improvised. There's no scripted lines. So everything you see is just them saying stuff and genuine reactions to what they're being told, which is why it's so authentic.
Yeah. How long were they filming for though? Because this is an hour and 20-minute movie, you know, like
there is 22 hours of footage.
Yeah, so this is a highlights reel. I imagine there's a lot of blur of shit that didn't work and was dreadful, and they picked the best bits and particular scenes. Well, obviously they did, because that's what we got in the movie. But
yeah, that's exactly how they've done it. But the producers and the director didn't know what they wanted, so they kind of just threw them out there and left them out there till they thought they had enough footage that they'd have something they could edit back together. That was the plan. Heather Donahue took a knife into the forest for filming because she did not like, because she had never met these guys before in her life and was told she's going to be spending 3 days in the woods in a tent with these strange men. And she's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to take a knife just in case.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I didn't realize these were like sort of like
yeah, like they knew each other for like a couple of days before they were like, right, off you go, have fun.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. Yeah, I can't believe that they've just done that. So they didn't leave the woods the entire time.
No, so there was lots
like
of times...
end of day shoot, back to the hotel. We'll drop.
No, it was you camp. The thing is, the producers and the crew were about in the woods. So each one of these in their contract had a clause where they agreed to be emotionally terrorized.
Okay.
And the reason for that was the producers wanted to interfere with their time in the woods. So all of the cracking and the banging of the sticks and stuff is the producers quarter of a mile away smashing a fucking great big log against a tree to make noise to wake them up. Where the tent gets shaken, that's a producer who snuck up in the middle of the night and shaken fuck out of their tent to see what...
But they must have known that was going to happen for them to turn the cameras on.
No, so they had the cameras on filming. They knew they were filming because they're within distance. They're like, okay, they're filming, the lights on, and someone's gone, go and shake their tent. So they just went and shook their tent. So them running out and screaming was genuine. And when Heather's going, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? There was a producer on a hill dressed all in white with a stag head mask on, illuminated with a light from below.
Which you just would not be allowed to do that these days. I'm telling you,
you really wouldn't. Like that is like they never caught it on camera, and they've spoke about it. They spoke about it when they're at For Love of Horror. She's like, I saw this thing. I know it was there. Josh, like, I saw this thing too. Like they all saw it, but they never caught it on camera. It was there.
The producers like denied it.
So no, the producers were like, yeah, 100%. We were up there. Like, hi.
I thought it was one of those things where they were like trying to mystify it, and it was like, oh no, we don't know what you're talking about, guys. There's no one there.
No, there definitely was. it cost $60,000 to make, including its marketing budget. Any idea how much this made globally?
Oh, I couldn't even begin to put a number on it. This was a phenomenon. Like, this was everywhere. I was
Yeah.
only 9 years old, 10 years old when this came out, and I
Yeah.
was aware of it. You know, I was aware of what was happening with this movie and the cultural impact it was having with people. My parents were talking about it who didn't watch horror movies. My
Yeah.
aunties and uncles were talking about it. You know, it was a thing. It was everywhere. It was on posters. It was on TV adverts. It was just mind blowing how big this thing was. There was people watching it that were older than me and old enough to go to the cinema and telling me that they were convinced it was real.
Yeah. Yeah. It made $248 million,
Yeah.
which is a ratio for every $1 they spent, they made $10,931 back.
Mental.
Absolutely insane. Before the film was released, IMDb had the actors listed as missing, presumed dead, and they stayed like this for a year after the film's release.
Again, just such clever marketing, man.
The marketing was so clever that Heather Donahue's family received sympathy cards from people who believed her daughter was dead or missing.
That's wild. I don't know of any other movie that's come close to replicating the same marketing campaign that this has. I know films have tried it. I think Smile's probably the most recent one that comes to memory, where they were doing the creepy smile people at like NFL games and stuff like that. That was really, really cool. But again, I've never known anything like what the Blair Witch managed to pull off.
No, there's nothing like it. And one of the things I love is, so the three actors were given a sales pitch by the producers about the Blair Witch, the legend of the Blair Witch that existed in the woods that they were about to go into. At no point did anyone tell the actors it was completely fabricated. So they're walking around the woods, not knowing what's going to happen, with the knowledge of the legend of the Blair Witch that had then been reinforced by all of the actors that they had met in the town. Like, they were convinced that this shit was real. Like, there was
so
a
the
real
people
witch.
they were interviewing at the beginning, the cast was not aware that they were actors.
Some of them they were aware were actors, but they also interviewed just normal people. And some of the normal people were just like, oh yeah, like the woman, she's like, oh yeah, I heard of the Blair Witch. She fucking hadn't. She's lying.
No,
It doesn't
she was just
exist.
going
But
with it because she thought
yeah,
she was on TV.
exactly that. The other thing they kept secret was Josh disappearing. So Heather and Michael didn't know that Josh was going to go. So they'd left a note for Josh saying, when they fall asleep, leave, walk in this direction, and we'll pick you up. And you're done then. You can go home. Josh was really happy because he had tickets to a Jane's Addiction concert, and it had actually overrun, but their shoot had overrun by a day, and he was really pissed off that he was going to miss it, which added to his pissed off performance. And then he got the note, and he was like, "Fucking brilliant!" So it's in the middle of the night, he just up and left. So when they woke up in the morning and he was gone, they're like, "Where the fuck is Josh?"
That's cool.
Really, really cool.
I think it plays out well on screen as well.
It does. And one thing that this movie does well is showing you that they're deep in the woods, like really deep in the woods. In reality, for a lot of this, they were not. There are some scenes in this where if they panned the camera to the left by, I don't know, 10 yards, there would be a road. They were that close to civilization. And apparently in the full footage that they edited down, they had about 7 hours that they just couldn't use because there was a road, or there was a house, or there was a pylon, or there was whatever. Because for a lot of it, they were deep, but for a lot of it, they were very much like, this looks wooded enough, we'll film it here when there's a road. Which, again, really, really cool. Like this film has done something that it can never be replicated now with the world of social media. It just wouldn't happen.
No. And I think the thing that's so interesting about it is there will be another one of these.
Yeah.
there will be something as technology advances and things progress. I think there will be another Blair Witch, whether it happens in our generation or the next generation. I think there will be something as culturally as impactful as this movie was. It's obviously, I can't for the life of me fathom what the hell it could possibly be. But I do feel like we're overdue another one.
Yeah, I think we are. I think you had sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Jaws were the first two big ones that kind of shocked the world. And then you had the early 80s where you had like Freddy and Jason and like tail end, like later on, sort of the first couple of Halloween films, they were like another like, shit, there's a new thing in horror. Then there was found footage. I would say the closest we've had to this shift in film since is like A24, is this elevated horror or art house horror. But we've not had something that's left everyone going, fuck, what is that?
Yeah, like you always get that generational sort of thing. Like for me, the earliest one that I can remember that was most relevant to me was like the what do they call it? It's like what they call it, like porn horror, not porn horror. That's
Torture
not the
porn.
term. Torture porn. Torture porn was like my youth of introduction to horror. That's what I had like the Saws, the Hostels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was like what I grew up in that era. Never was a fan of it in particular, but like that was my time frame of horror. We're now kind of in that elevated horror thing, which again is not really my thing. I'm looking for that next one. Do you know what I mean? I kind of want it. I'm curious to know what it's gonna be.
It'll be it's with you now out in January 2026. It'll be that Back to the Woods.
Fucking hell, you're a year overdue on that, aren't you? By now,
I am well over a year overdue, but we have a release date in January. We have some voicemails. In fact, we have quite a few. We are going to kick off with a regular caller.
Right, now let's talk about bringing it back. I love this film. I thought it's absolutely brilliant in every way, but I also agree with Mark. I would have liked that dark, oblique ending. That's fantastic. That would have been awesome. I love a bad ending to movies. And Mark, Street Fighter is absolutely fucking terrible. I rewatched it recently, and it's still fucking terrible. And I'm not a carny. I used to work on a fair. It's a difference.
Is it different though? Is it different just because you've got modern terminology behind it? It's the same thing. And no. Street Fighter, dissing on Street Fighter. Who is this guy?
Street Fighter is dog shit. After we spoke about it, I rewatched it, and I've been on What the Fuck Are You Doing podcast where we were talking about films that have an incredible cast but are absolute garbage, and Street Fighter come up in that conversation as well. All I'm going to say to you is Blanca in Street Fighter
was awesome. It was like all done up like the Incredible Hulk TV series. It was great.
Abomination. Let's move on before we argue about Street Fighter for an hour. Also, on a separate note, I've been playing Mortal Kombat 1, and that is another level cool. But right, moving on.
Great episode, guys, for bringing her back. Oh, there's so much I wanted to say throughout the episode. I should have taken notes. But yeah, I'm actually in agreement with Scott here for once. I thought this movie was absolutely brilliant. Whether I will still love it on a rewatch, I'm not sure, and I completely understand Mark saying, like, when you're chatting and hashing out these films, sometimes that's when you start to kind of see the flaws and pick them apart. But I think it's okay for a film to have flaws, for you, like Scott, to agree that they have flaws, but still give it top marks because you loved it so much. That's okay. Yep. I do that all the time too. I know Labyrinth and other films that I absolutely love and would give them top marks. I know they're flawed. And I'm pretty sure Mark would probably be the same with his favourites like Halloween and
4.
Deep Blue Sea. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've heard you have conversations on this podcast agree with flaws yourself and say you don't care and still give it top marks. So we all do it with the films we love. I did love that plane thing you pointed out.
I didn't.
I'm going to have to look at that when I rewatch it again. It did make me laugh. We all just completely forgot that she was blind, didn't we? But yeah, great episode. Loved hearing your thoughts on it. Film of the year for me so far. Still love you guys.
That felt like an attack on my beloved movies. I'll be honest with you, more than anything, I felt like she was trying to hide it by being nice. But I could see right through that bullshit, mate. And I know she was coming at Halloween and Deep Blue Sea there, and I feel hurt by what she's just said. I'll be honest.
Well, speaking of people attacking us, on the Patreon episode we drop in September, we're going to be sharing all of the hate-filled message that Heather sent after we angered her so much that she hated us. I've had a couple of messages going, "Have you fallen out with Heather?" I'm going to share.
We were close. We were genuinely close.
we were, but I'm going to share a message from the group chat that Heather sent to me, a very loving message to show that me and Heather are still as tight and as close as we've ever been.
Scott, you don't do sarcasm. Sarcasm is a way of life. It's like a second language. Get your shit together. Okay, hope you're having a good Friday. Bye.
She still loves you.
She hasn't sent you a voicemail yet, but maybe next week. Maybe you'll be forgiven. We have a couple more. Becky wasn't done, but Becky, as you noticed, her message cut off, so she decided to call again.
And also, I know you were talking about the funeral scene and saying how, with that woman being so crazy and him being a teenage lad, that he would have kind of spoken up and said something. But for me, from the start, it was made quite clear that because they didn't want to take him on, so I felt more like he was trying to be on his best behaviour, so he was definitely holding back, I think, wanting to say something to her, wanting to freak out at her, but he was on his best behaviour because he did not want to be split up from his sister. That's what I thought about it when watching it anyway. I'll have to see again when I rewatch it.
Nah, fuck that shit. Headlock.
We have two more. We have one more from Dave, because Dave has Patreon access, so when we're recording this, he's had early access to last week's episode.
Mark, I absolutely hate you. I should have sent this yesterday, but I forgot. So I was listening to House of Wax, and you was on about the mask at various points, and I was looking, I'm like, yeah, it's just as bad as Ozzy Osbourne. And I was going to voicemail in with it, it's going to be absolutely killer and awesome, it was going to be brilliant, and then you spoiled it right to the death, and you actually mentioned that exact thing. Fuck you.
I don't think it was me that said the Ozzy Osbourne thing. That was you, was it not?
No, it was you. It was you. It was all you.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Sorry for taking your punchline, Dave. It wasn't intentional. I'm just very, very funny.
Yeah. And do you know the best thing? It's not your humour, it's your modesty, I think, is your best quality. We've also had a call from the boss. So this month, Kate rules. Kate's message in. Kate has thoughts after our first Kate's Rules episode. So you ready for a dressing down by the boss, or maybe she'll be nice? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I feel like she might be on my side this week. I feel like I did all right. I did her proud on the House of Wax episode. I think I'm in good corner.
Well, she's picked good episodes, and I'm worried that we're not performing to the level that is required of our new management. But let's find out.
Hi guys, I just finished the House of Wax episode on Patreon and wanted to say how much I loved it and how excited I am for the rest of the month and what you do with the other episodes. I'm a little nervous about Hannibal because I really do love that movie, but I understand when people don't, so whatever you guys think will be fine. And with House of Wax, I just wanted to elaborate on the third brother. You mentioned how good the actor is, and I just wanted to agree. Damon Herriman, I think, is the best actor in Australia, and he's been acting kind of since he was a kid, I think. He sort of pops up in everything, but he's always exceptional. He's super versatile. He's in the new movie Together, I think. I haven't seen that, but Mr. In Between, The Nightingale, like just kind of lots of stuff. And I just think he's amazing and super, super talented. So I was really happy to hear him get a shout out. And yeah, I'm always really excited anytime anyone loves this movie because I just think it's so fun. And I love Paris Hilton too. I think she's wonderful. And I'm really happy that she's in the movie, and I'm happy that she's doing well in life. So anyway, yeah, thank you guys. And I love the episode, and I hope your week is great.
Well, fucking g'day, mate. I had no idea you were Australian. I thought you were American.
Kate's called loads of times. How do you not know? And also, Kate seems like a nice boss too.
She does. She seems very friendly. Who was she referring to in the movie? And I know the
third brother, the young hillbilly.
Ah, right. Okay. Yes. Yes.
He's awesome.
I mean, I recognize his face. Yeah. The program she mentioned, Mr. In Between. I've not seen that, but that's one of those things that always pops up on like Facebook Reels where you've got a scene from that movie. The one that I see regularly is the one where he's getting his daughter an ice cream and some guy's been a dickhead, and he puts his daughter in the car and then he goes off and just beats the shit out of him. It looks like a really, really cool show. I'll be honest with you, Kate, it doesn't get publicized very much here in the UK, so trying to find it would be really difficult. But that is one show that I occasionally see pop up on Facebook. I'm like, I really want to watch that.
Yeah, I've not seen it either. I've seen the clip. I know exactly where he's like, you stay here, darling. Daddy will be back in a minute.
Yeah.
Whack, whack.
It's basically like Liam Neeson's Taken, but like some bald dude from Australia. It looks incredible, and I really want to watch it. But again, it's not something that's available here in the UK at the moment. I've got a Fire Stick. I might be able to find it on there. But I do want to watch that. And now you've mentioned it, makes me think that it is a big thing in Australia, and it might be a cool program to watch. So I'm going to try and find that for next week. I'll try and do it before our next Patreon actual episode comes out.
Yeah,
and I can try and discuss about it on there.
Okay, cool. Also, she's nervous about Hannibal. Hannibal's a first watch for you, isn't it?
Are you mental?
Oh, have you seen Hannibal? I'm
the biggest Thomas Harris Hannibal Lecter fan. Like, I live and breathe the TV show. I live and breathe the movies. Like, I'm the guy for that episode. Don't you worry about a thing. But I will say, you are a bigger fan of that movie than I am. Just for clarification, I know you love that movie more than I do. I have issues with it, but that's only because I'm such a big fan of Manhunter, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and I do feel like Hannibal slightly missteps it. And I think the TV show certainly handles that storyline a lot better than the movie does. We'll dive into that. We'll dive into that a lot more on that episode.
Save it for the Hannibal episode in about 3 weeks' time. Time for Caption This.
What's this?
That is as much of that as I could use with that copyright strike. This was the image I found from the Blair Witch, and I can't tell you how happy I was when I found it. It's such a... and it is a blink and miss it scene, like a blink and miss it millisecond for that, what looks like AI generated screen with the figure behind her. It's brilliant. Heather, me and Heather have an ongoing thing about Nicolas Cage and The Wicker Man, went with, oh God, the bees, which become a thing. The bees. Lady Crisis went with, when you tell the kids to put the screens down and go and play in the woods. Old and Nerdy Bastard went with Bad Acid at Burning Man.
Oh, dude, I'm completely off topic. I saw a reel the other day, like it's Burning Man at the moment, and they're just being hit by like this massive sandstorm thing. It just
blew down the orgy tent.
It just fucking wiped everything out. It looked like the most intense thing I'd ever seen. Do you know, like when you see those videos on Facebook and stuff where they're like sandblasting metal?
Yeah,
it looked like every human being should have been shredded to the bone. It was crazy.
But it blew down the orgy tent. That was the headline. The orgy tent at Burning Man has been blown over.
And there's actually an orgy tent at... Why have I not been to Burning Man before?
I don't. Maybe if we get enough in the Patreon pot, maybe next year.
I'm not sharing it with you.
No, we can't visit the orgy tent at the same time.
There
And I'm
has to
pretty
be a
sure
rule where we're both at opposite ends of the tent at all
Yeah.
times.
Waving. Right. Dewey Pod Monster went with worst dildo ever. Dissect that film. When you take the game of Hangman too far.
Cool.
Chaz Presley, Patreon members testing out You Run OnlyFans. Doesn't matter how many times you guys say it, You Run OnlyFans is not happening.
I feel like you would be more inclined to it than I would. I feel like if there was enough clickbait for it, you would be tempted.
I joked about it about 3 months ago. I made a post of like, I can't remember what it was, but like, oh yeah, don't you know, it was a reel. It's like, do you want to know why I've got so many followers? You know, I do porn, right? The amount of comments that I had asking for the link had me going, oh, do I do it? Like if I charge $6.99 a month, there's like 30 people here. That's like borderline a living.
Nobody wants to see you masturbating on a kitchen stool, mate. I'll be honest with you.
In a Jason Voorhees hockey mask.
Well, I'm not sleeping tonight.
Nightmare went with a news headline: local woman harassed by stickman. I thought it was quite good.
Oh, how have we not hit on any stickman references on this episode?
And Whole Doll Parts went with kind of the same thing as Dewey Pod Monster, but anything can be used as a dildo. Time for our game.
Played these games before.
So our game, we have a soundbite which has 5 clips in it, clipped from 5 different movies, and all you need to do is identify all 5 movies, and you get free 6 months to Patreon. If you're already a Patreon member, you pretty much get me and Mark to do whatever you want. This is where the OnlyFans begins. Now, we've had a guess, and I'm going to play the guess first before I play the clip.
Mark.
That's the wrong one. It is this one. It is this clip.
Hey guys, so let's start off with the quiz. I was actually waiting until I could have them all, but since you said send them individually, I will. So the first one I did know was Halloween Resurrection. That was pretty easy. And I'm pretty sure the 4th one is Sigourney Weaver. I'm guessing it's one of the Alien films, so I'm going to go with Aliens.
It's a good Halloween Resurrection is correct. I think everyone knows that the first clip is Halloween Resurrection. Since that message, Dave has actually worked out what the 4th clip is, but he hasn't called in, so I can't share it. So Dave's actually got 2. So I'm going to play the clip again. You now know the first one is Halloween Resurrection, and I'm telling you now the 4th one is not Sigourney Weaver. So here's the clip.
Good treat. What have you done? Eat shit.
Move! Give me a break.
I know so many of these as well, and I feel like if you just voice your opinion, don't tell me the movies, but voice I feel like I could help everybody along so much more. And I might be wrong. I might be wrong.
I'll play it again, then we will let you voice your opinion.
Trick or treat. What have you done? Eat shit.
Move! Give me a break.
Right. The last one, number 5. Do you want me to say what I think the movie is?
Say what you think it is, and I'm not going to tell you if you're right or you're wrong.
Yeah. You don't have to say anything. Just let me rampage for a little bit. I think the last one is Death Becomes Her. I'm not. There's something in my mind is saying that is Death Becomes Her. The 3rd one is the Friday movie where he says, "Eat shit and die, eat shit and live," and they're all playing baseball on the field. And I can't for the life. It might not even be a Friday movie, if I'm being completely honest with you, but I have a feeling it's a Friday movie where he says, "Eat shit and die," and he's like, "Hey Tony, eat shit and live." It's that scene, and I think it's from Friday, and I just can't for the life of me remember if it is a Friday movie or not. My mind's gone completely blank. Obviously, the first one's Halloween Resurrection, so that's all I'm going to say for now. I have a theory about 2 and 4, but I'm not solely sold on those theories and yet just to present them. So I'm going to give you Halloween Resurrection for a definite. I'm going to give you a Friday movie, which I can't pinpoint which movie it is, but that scene in particular, if you know that scene, you'll know the movie, if it's even a Friday movie, but that's what that is definitely from. And I think the final clip is Death Becomes Her, but again, that's just where my brain's going to, and I can't place a quote to the movie.
Okay, so there Mark's guesses. Here is the clip again.
Trick or treat. What have you done?
Eat shit! Move! Give me a break.
And remember to enter, you have to leave us a voicemail. You can do that on Instagram or X, or you can record a TikTok with your guesses. And at some point in the next week or so, this clip is going to go on social media. So
it's game over as soon as it goes on Instagram.
It's genuinely not, because it's going to go on Instagram and TikTok, and I am going to turn comments off.
Brilliant. Yes.
So no one can comment on it, and it's going to say in the caption, if you want to get involved, you need to leave us a voicemail, record your own TikTok telling us what they are, and then it's going to make people get involved, because I know there is certain people within the horror world on social media who will get 4 out of 5 like straight off the bat. They'll know exactly who that.
The thing is, I reckon if you put that on Instagram and without people even guessing the movies, just theories alone, I could probably navigate a few of social media's ideas to get 5 out of 5. I think whether they're right or they're wrong, I feel like if I saw some other inputs to suggestions, it would spark those final 2 for me. I'm not saying I'm right on the 3 that I've sort of presented to you today. In fact, I'm definitely not saying that, because I don't know the answer to this. Scott's perfectly keeping this information from me because he knows I will tell people. I can't be trusted. I'm a grass. So like, I don't actually know what these are, but like, I feel like if I was given a bit more information or a couple of sort of like, oh, I think it might be this, I would probably be able to navigate it. So definitely turn off the comment sections if you're going to post these on socials.
Yeah, I'm going to post it, and I am going to turn off the comment section for no other reason, but I think that's funny because people will know and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I know. Oh, I can't comment. And then they'll read the caption and be like, fuck, need to call in. So we're going to get loads of random people going, never listened to your show before, but I know what this is. I'm going to round this up first because I think my opinion is kind of well known, and then I'm going to let you run with where you are on this. If you haven't seen this film before and you have seen all the hype around it and you go in to watch it, I think you are going to be a little bit disappointed, like Mark was on his first watch. This film lives in a really strange place in time and cinema. It was early days of the internet where information wasn't freely shared like it is now. Like, you could find stuff, but it was a chore. You couldn't type into Google, is this real? And AI would pop up and go, actually, no, I've looked at 85,000 websites and no, it's not, it's a lie. Like, you couldn't do that. Like, you had sites like IMDb, which was a reference point. But when you went to IMDb for this, they're like, missing, presumed dead. You're like, fuck, this is real. That coupled with the fact that there was a documentary that went out, I can't remember if it was a week before, 2 weeks before the release, and it was aired on TV as an actual documentary where they were talking about these kids that have disappeared. They were talking to the police officers investigating the case who've been looking for them. They were showing you search parties walking through the woods and fucking beating the trees. I'm like, fuck. Like, they show you the bit where they find the wall and they lift a rock out and they pull their footage out from under the rock, and it's presented in such an authentic way. So you watched that, you've gone, this is bullshit, which is what I done. Jumped on dial-up internet, went to IMDb, went, oh, missing, presumed dead. Went to a couple of AOL message boards, because that's what we had at the time. And everyone in the message board is like, no, this is real. Like, this is 100% genuine. This is real footage. And they've got permission from the families. There was such a lore behind this that was all fake. But there was such a lore behind it that if you didn't experience this film at the time, you will never understand how much this film means to people who did live through it, because it honestly was an experience. This sort of hoodwinking the audience is never going to happen again. No one will ever make anyone believe something is a real film again. It just can't. With the way that information is shared, it's just not a thing. It is a found footage movie that paved the way for things like Paranormal Activity, Wreck. Like every paranormal movie that has come after this that is found footage takes some root from the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah,
one
definitely.
element of it appears in every single found footage, even when you get all the way up to Deadstream. There are elements in Deadstream that are ripped straight from the Blair Witch Project, right at the beginning where he holds the t-shirt up and it's like the writing, and then it pans back and it's him holding a t-shirt. Like, it is inspired an entire generation of filmmakers, myself included. I love this film unconditionally, and there's nothing that will ever diminish this film for me, even though I know if you went into it with no nostalgia behind it, it's not the best film. It's genuinely not. It is riddled with flaws. It's not the scariest film you're ever going to watch. It's none of the things that all the people who watched it in the 90s will tell you that it is. But for me, it's perfect. And it's a 5 out of 5.
It's a solid score, man. And I don't begrudge it for you in any way, shape, or form. For me, it's one of those movies that I came to in later life. I went into it with the overhype. I was underwhelmed by the film by the end of it. Second time around, I had a completely different perspective, and I can appreciate a hell of a lot about this movie that I never even took for appreciation the first time around. I think the casting is incredible. I think it's really inspiring to see such an indie project go on to grow and be such a monumental moment in horror history. I really, really like this movie more than I thought I would have done on a rewatch. There are so many levels and layers to this film that I just didn't see the first time around. And I can't recommend it to a generation of people who weren't there for the moment, as me being one of those people. I was not there for the moment. I'm aware of the moment. I'm very gutted that I wasn't there for it, because I feel like it is such an important moment in horror history for people that I closely associate myself with on a regular basis and talk to and things. And I'm very envious of the fact that I wasn't there for this, because nothing has ever impacted not just horror, but cinema in the way that the Blair Witch Project did. With the movement it had, the believability behind its marketing campaign, and the conversations that were held throughout communities across the globe regarding such a basic premise movie.
Yeah, a film that cost 60 grand. How did that become a global phenomenon?
I just don't think I'll ever witness anything like this in my lifetime, and that for me breaks my heart, being such a big horror fan. And I'm envious of you, man, to be alive well, I was alive, but I'm envious of you to be of an age where you got to experience that, because that is such a cool fucking thing. Imagine if this had been the same kind of movement it had on its release, but we had the same sort of community and we had the same sort of Instagram mentality where we talked to such a wide variety of people. How impactful this would have been.
Yeah, this movie was the first movie that I can remember. I went to see this. So I was dating a girl at the time who wasn't really into horror. So I was like, I need to go and see this film. Like, you do you, I'm going. I walked down to my local cinema and I watched this. And when I went to the late screening at like 10 o'clock. So I come out at like midnight, half midnight, something like that. And I had to walk back to my flat. That walk back, I was like, there's a bit where I had to cut through a park. Going through that park is the only time ever in my life I've been like, do you know what? I'm a little bit fucking...
You ran through the park.
I moved quicker than fucking normal. It was not a leisurely stroll smoking a cigarette. I was moving at a quicker pace, and it was all because this film I believed it.
Yeah.
And because I believed it, put then in that real world environment, there's a couple of trees over there. Fuck this shit. Quick. You remember you used to your hands in your pockets, head down. How fast can you move your legs? Like, look a little bit like a penguin. That was me in 1999 cutting through a park.
Yeah. And I'm jealous of that, man. I'm jealous of that. There hasn't been a movie since I was a teenager that's made me feel that way. But even as an adult, I know the impact that this movie would have had on so many people. Again, it's not something that holds up on a rewatch in terms of not necessarily on a rewatch in terms of a first time watch for a generation who wasn't there for this. And it's taken me a couple of watches in the past couple of years to kind of get my bearings with this film. But this latest rewatch, I was so invested. I was so absorbed by the characters and by the situation that they had found themselves in. And again, something I briefly mentioned at the beginning of the episode regarding my own perspective on what I thought this could have been, excluding the actual Blair Witch supernatural element and the story regarding the serial killer of children and him being the one who was fucking them up in the woods. That took a completely different turn for me when I watched it this time around. That I really enjoyed it, man, from that perspective, you know. And it didn't need to be there for me. It didn't need to be the truth of it, you know. But horror is so objective that regardless of the meaning of certain stories, and I think that's one thing that's most prevalent nowadays with A24 movies, how they're so presented in a way that it's individual to the person's perspective and the person's feelings and the person's own specific traumas to how you will perceive such heavy based movies. Once I kind of got myself into a position where I was kind of led to believe this to be the case with the Blair Witch Project, and I was like, no, exclude that supernatural bullshit. Let's just go down this route with your viewing. I was fucking in, man. I was in on it so much, so heavily, and I was like, yes, this is a route for me that this movie works.
I'm going to have to cut Michael Myers into a clip of this film just to please you.
You should, man. You should, because I think if you take it from that perspective, like, it was so enjoyable for me to sort of pick up apart these things. Because, like, you know, I'm not a supernatural guy. You know, I don't buy into ghosts. You know, I don't buy into possession stuff. So seeing it in that point where, like, I know it's advertised as a ghost, but, like, in my mind, I was like, oh, some fucking creepy dude out there, man, who's just escaped an asylum and he's fucking in the tent. He's fucking them up here, and then he's lured them to this house and he's wiping them out like he wiped those children out all those years ago. One thing that I will be annoyed by every time I watch it is not knowing enough about this character that is explained at the beginning in that interview.
Yeah.
Why did that guy kill those kids? Why did that guy do that? Why did he then come down to the town and say, it's fulfilled, it's done? Like, obviously, the suggestion is that he's doing offerings, if you will, in order to keep the witch at bay.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those, did it actually happen? Or is that old guy just spinning a story that
exactly, yeah,
you know, and I like that.
There's so much to it where you can just take it in any direction you want and it kind of works. It's going to get a 4 out of 5 for me. It's not the highest of scores because I don't have that throwback nostalgia to it, but I still think 4 out of 5 for somebody who has only seen this movie a year ago is an incredible score for something that most people and most modern going audiences would probably snuff at nowadays. And if you are one of those people, I think maybe you need to go back and give the Blair Witch Project another chance and just kind of revert expectations, look at it from a more simplistic level, and ignore the hype that people present to this movie when they come from the generation where they were there with the marketing campaign that came with it.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, a 4 out of 5 from you, I will take all day long, because I was so teed up, ready for you to go, this is dog shit, it's boring. Why are we here? Why are we talking about this shit movie from the 90s? And I was like, I messaged you earlier going, where are you? And you went, I really had a good time with it. I actually enjoyed it. And I was like, well, we will have fun tonight. That was my message back. We will have fun tonight.
Well, the thing is, like, I came in fully ready to pull it apart.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I was geared up. I was like, Scott's favorite movie. Even if it's good, I'm going to fucking crucify him this week. And I couldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't do it because I had such a good time with it on my latest rewatch that I was like, fuck, I kind of get it now. I understand his love. And it would have been amplified so much more had I have been there in 1999 and lived that campaign like you did.
Yeah, like that campaign's amazing. Like I said, for Love of Horror, I got to meet Michael C. Williams, and I got to hear the other cast talk about it. And like, Michael C. Williams is the nicest fucking guy. He had a queue behind me, and honestly, he could not give two fucks how many people were behind me. He sat and spoke to me. He talked about the Blair Witch. He talked about the movie I was currently shooting at the time. And he was like, "Oh, it's really cool, man. Like, let me know when you release it." And I know he's one of the people who's watched it because he messaged me. Like, that to me is fucking awesome. I love that.
It's really cool.
So, yeah, really, really cool. That is it for this week in the second week of Kate Rules. Next week, Kate Rules continues as she's managed to pull another banger out of the bag, one that both me and Mark have both picked for polls in the past, never got it on. Kate picks it once and it goes straight in. So next week you get to find out what would happen to Kevin McAllister if he grew old and become a thief, as we cover The Collector.
Yes, big fan of this.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like Saw meets Home Alone. It's I'm kind of on board for it. But until then, do us a favor, give us a review, go watch some shit on YouTube. Like, there's so much stuff on YouTube. There's a video where I talk about Good Boy. There's a video where I talk about loads of stuff. There's a video on there where I talk about making videos on YouTube that nobody watches, but I make them anyway, because in the hope that one day people who listen to the podcast will go and watch a YouTube video. Join Patreon, even if it's at the free tier, and maybe go and take a stroll in the woods at night. That'd be fun.
It wouldn't, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, see you next week.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
You want to die tonight?
Late at night, I tune into your show, where you talk horror with a unique flow. Your voice is like sirens, draws me in, as you pick apart movies on murder and sin. The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Marc's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. But you run podcasts, horror movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. Thank you for taking us on this chilling ride, when nightmares roll free and comedy collide. With your podcast we laugh and cringe, but your content is so good we can't help but binge. You run podcasts. You run podcasts.
Trick or treat. What have you done?
Eat shit! Move! Give me a break.